Inside the lives of Africa's billionaires, a story of wealth, power, and legacy. We often hear about billionaires from the West: Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, Warren Buffett. But what about Africa's billionaires? Who are they? How did they build their wealth? And more importantly, what impact are they making on the continent? Today, we take you inside the lives of Africa's wealthiest individuals, uncovering their journeys, challenges, and the legacies they are building. But stay with us until the end, because there's one shocking truth about African billionaires that most people don't know. Let's dive in. The rise of African wealth. Africa has long been viewed as a land of poverty and struggle. But hidden behind the headlines is a different reality, one of booming economies, thriving industries, and self-made billionaires who are rewriting the rules. From tech innovators in Nigeria to mining magnates in South Africa, Africa's billionaires have built empires in diverse industries. Yet their wealth is often misunderstood. Many of them are not just business leaders, they are nation builders, philanthropists, and symbols of Africa's growing global influence. But behind the success, there's always a story. And today, we tell you one. The story of Oba Adewale, from streets to skyscrapers. In the bustling city of Lagos, Nigeria, a young boy named Adewale sold bread on the streets. His mother worked as a tailor, stitching clothes from dawn till dusk, while his father drove a taxi, barely making ends meet. Life was tough, but Adewale had something money couldn't buy: unshakable belief in his future. At night, he would sit by the window of their one-room apartment, looking at the distant skyline of Lagos. He would whisper to himself, "One day, I will own those buildings." The breakthrough. At 19, Adewale got a small loan from a local trader and started a business importing second-hand electronics. He worked day and night, reinvesting every profit. Soon, he was no longer just selling gadgets. He was distributing them across West Africa. But his real breakthrough came when he saw an opportunity in real estate. While others saw Lagos as chaotic and overcrowded, he saw a city with unlimited potential. He started small, buying a single plot of land and building a small apartment complex. The demand was overwhelming. Within a few years, Adewale had built a real estate empire that stretched from Nigeria to Dubai. Skyscrapers, luxury estates, and five-star hotels all under his name. He had become Oba Adewale, the real estate king of Africa. The cost of success. But success came at a price. As his empire grew, so did the challenges. Government policies changed overnight, and corrupt officials demanded bribes. International investors doubted Africa's business environment. Competitors tried to bring him down. At one point, his company faced a financial crisis that almost wiped out everything he had built. The banks refused to help. Friends turned away. He was on the brink of losing it all. But Oba Adewale remembered the young boy selling bread on the streets. He wasn't just building wealth, he was building a legacy. Instead of giving up, he pivoted. He invested in affordable housing, providing homes for thousands of low-income families. That move not only saved his company, but made him one of Africa's most respected billionaires. Today, his name is not just on buildings, it's in history books. Africa's billionaires. More than just money. Oba Adewale's story is just one of many. Across the continent, billionaires like Aliko Dangote, Masiyiwa, and Patrice Motsepe have built massive business empires. But their impact goes beyond wealth. Aliko Dangote built Africa's largest cement company and is now working to make Nigeria self-sufficient in food and oil production. Masiyiwa revolutionized telecommunications in Africa and is now investing in young entrepreneurs. Patrice Motsepe became Africa's first black billionaire in mining and is committed to philanthropy. These billionaires understand something important. Wealth is not just about personal success. It's about lifting a continent. But here's the shocking truth: despite their achievements, African billionaires face more scrutiny and challenges than their Western counterparts. While billionaires in the US and Europe are celebrated, African billionaires are often accused of corruption, questioned about their legitimacy, and even targeted politically. Why? Because Africa's wealth is still seen through a colonial lens when it struggles to accept that Africans can be self-made, powerful, and global leaders. But that perception is changing, and it's changing fast. The future of African wealth. So, what does the future hold for Africa's billionaires? Technology is creating new wealth opportunities. With young African entrepreneurs leading in fintech, e-commerce, and renewable energy, countries like Kenya, Ghana, and South Africa are becoming innovation hubs. And the next generation of billionaires is being built not from old money, but from new ideas. If there's one lesson from Oba Adewale's story, it's this. Africa's billionaires are not just businessmen. They are dreamers, fighters, and pioneers. And as Africa rises, the world will have no choice but to recognize their power. Final thought. What do you think about Africa's billionaires? Are they the future of global business, or do they still face too many challenges? Let us know in the comments. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to Noble Black News for more powerful African stories. See you in the next one.
The low residue, which is the cheapest product, is less than 7%. So that makes our refinery, to be a very profitable, refinery. But this is something that you build for a long time. It's not something that you use. If it's question about making money, you look at it in the last 7 years. If we as a group had taken this money we invested and invested in stocks of Microsoft, in Tesla, in Google, I mean, our worthiness would have been over $100 and something billion.
And that's with the Model 3 and Model Y. And then we expect to be in production with the Cybercab, which is really highly optimized for autonomous transport. In probably, well, I tend to be a little optimistic with timeframes, but in 2026. So, yeah, before 2027. Let me put it that way. When you get in, you'll see it's really quite a wild experience to just be in a car with no steering wheel, no pedals, no controls, and it feels great. Something we're also doing is, and it's really high time we did this, is inductive charging. So the robotaxi has no plug.
And as everywhere else in the world and Africa at the time, telecommunications was considered state domain, as they called it. And working in Africa as an engineer, 75% of our people had never even heard the telephone ringing. And then, as any young engineer at the time, I saw the emergence of the mobile technology. This was with early 90s. And I became a bit of an evangelist, saying, hey, there's a solution to this. And the more I shouted, the more I was treated with total suspicion, became an enemy agent and the rest of it and so forth, and it became pretty ugly. But the long and short of it is I and a lot of young entrepreneurs at the time, many of them are old men like me now, we pretty much pushed that the solution was private capital. They had to give up the state monopolies and let private capital move in. And it moved in both domestic, global, and today 75% of our people have a phone. And there's 1 billion cell phones in Africa, mobile. Going around Africa, starting mobile ventures. I made the first mobile phone call, digital mobile phone call in Nigeria in 2001. So I led a consortium there, so I ran around doing that. But around about 2004, I started to think very much about data. And I said, the wireless infrastructure will not deliver on the volumes of data we are beginning to see. So I pivoted to building fiber infrastructure. And I put a pin on my wall. We are going to build from Cape to Cairo. And we actually dug and along the highways all the way from South Africa to Egypt. And today we've built over 120,000 kilometers of fiber interconnecting all the African countries. We just finished one of our most exciting, most difficult builds, which was to cross the Congo forest, east to west. That took us 3 years. So that became very much part of what we were doing. And then 10 years later, and thanks to Microsoft, like I said, Microsoft came to us and said, can you co-locate us? I said, what is that? They said, well, you know, we have this idea of data centers about cloud. I said, the cloud was up here. I said, no, it's here. You got to build our data centers, and we're looking for partners. So we built the first data center in Kenya. And we've been building these ever since in different African countries.